the relationship between grief and habits. Let's talk about it. So grief and habits. Hi, Thunderhawk Coaching here, Will, and we're going to talk about something that I think people don't think about enough when we think about habits. So, I'm going to give you a statement to begin with, lovely people. You can't change without grief, okay? So I'm going to outline that a little more. When we change, the old version of us kind of dies a little bit to become a new version. And something I see a lot is a lot of people have ideas of wanting to be different, ideas of like wanting to go to the gym, ideas of wanting to develop sustainable, healthy habits like self-care and doing more self-care or progressing in a job or whatever. And there's a lot of attachment to what you currently are, right? As humans, we by default want to stay in the same zone, the same place. We generally resist change because it's very cognitively taxing, right? So when we think about making a change we want to make that's like good for ourselves, right? It might be like eating better, going to the gym, progressing in your career, developing new skills, etc. There's going to be some grief that comes with that. And I think people don't think about this enough because you can't. This one I really see is this loop of somebody making a change, and then what fuels the change is a lot of willpower, right? Because you haven't grieved the old you. You're pushing and exerting yourself into the unknown, spending a lot of brain power and energy. This is magnified with neurodiverse folks. And you get to a really hard place where you yo-yo back and forth. I don't know if this is you, right? Where you go, oh, new year, new me. It's February now. So a little past maybe in the later stage of the New Year's resolutions. But at this point, you're going to be running on willpower if you're still doing your New Year's resolutions. You're going to be like, man, it's February. This is hard. I don't want to keep going to the gym. This sucks, right? Because I miss sitting at home, playing a video game, watching a sports game, just chilling out. There's a degree of grief that comes with that, right? Because you have to we only have so many hours in the day, people, right? Our habits are who we are. So when we stop doing some things, we're kind of letting them go. We're like letting them float off into the ether to not be done again. And that's really hard, especially if it's like a social thing you do. If you go drinking with your buddies and you're like, I don't want to drink as much. You're kind of risking relationships that you really value. You like having a laugh with your buddies. You like having a glass with the gals. Right? So we have to really think of this from a wide variety of angles here, folks. We have to look at it and be like, so if I'm going out for a drink with the boys, right? Going out for a drink at a bar or a pub, because I'm English, so we go to the pub. If I'm going to the pub and I drink alcohol, well, a lot of people, we all know alcohol's not good for us, especially in large quantities. It's literal poison. So we know that logically, but emotionally, we know that we love being with our buddies. We love being light and silly and happy and having a laugh. And alcohol helps you do that. So a lot of people drink, less and less in the younger generations, but a lot of people drink. And I ain't here to judge drinkers, but I am here to say that there's a reason a lot of people find it really hard to make this change because it feels good to do the habits we love to do, right? And as more research is coming out about addiction, about dopamine cycles, how we experience dopamine, there's some really exciting research out on how GLP medications like semaglutide, Ozempic or Wegovy, tirzepatide, Zepbound or Mounjaro, and not legal for use yet, but retatrutide, all contribute to changing our reward circuitry, which changes our addictive patterns, and how much pleasure we experience from those, which is kind of important, right? When I'm thinking about grief, because if we're with the boys and we're having fun and we're drinking alcohol and we drink alcohol and we don't have a fun time, we're going to be less motivated to do that more. Those medications seem to change how that works for some people, but habits are still really strong. It doesn't work for everyone. So when we think about habits, I think it's really important in relation to grief that we think about what we're going to be giving up. Because if we don't really look at that and feel that and like sit with the experience of missing fun with the boys with the beer, we're going to keep doing it. And then we're going to stay in the pit that we feel we're digging for ourselves. And it's going to get harder and harder to climb out of that pit, because something about reward circuitry, when we think about habits and reward circuitry, they're kind of like highways in your brain. It's the best way I've ever heard it explained. It's like highways in your brain, right? When there's a lot of traffic down the highways, they generally get bigger because the roads are used a lot. So the resources your brain has go, well, this is a kind of a freeway, a motorway, so let's make it bigger and bigger, add more lanes, because it's being used a lot. And that could be drinking with your friends, right? You have to kind of intentionally be aware that that's kind of a bit of a motorway for you, a bit of a freeway, and then intentionally choose to not signal to your local brain's resources, hey, maybe we need to like not use that road, though it's going to be the fastest and easiest road. And that's really hard. Like grieving that road, the ease that comes with that road is going to be hard, right? Accepting you want to change in that way, there's going to be grief with that. Your relationships are going to change. I think this is the biggest thing that a lot of people don't think about. It's like the relational impact of approaching addiction. We need people. We all need our buddies. We need people that care about us. We need friends. We want to connect with people. That's healthy. That's normal, right? Some of us don't feel like we're allowed to connect with people in real ways because of things that have happened to us. Or just we've never been shown how to really connect with people, which is the more common thing I see. And kind of going outside of those boundaries, again, we're talking about us humans want to stay in comfort. Going outside of that and learning a different way is really hard. It's hard to compute that. It's hard to go, yeah, man, I'm going to be different. I encourage you to journal about this, lovely people. What are you going to give up when you give up the habit you enjoy? What are you giving up when you give up watching the new thing on Netflix? What are you giving up when you don't go for drinks with your buddies? When you stop playing League of Legends with your friends? That was a thing I had to grieve. As weird as that sounds, I had a habit. I was a gaming addict. I played loads of League of Legends. Way too much League of Legends. It was a bad time. And I had to eventually stop doing that. And I think what stopped me doing that in part, if I'm honest, was the relationship that was building with my wife. There was, that need was being taken care of relationally in a different way, because I played League of Legends because my buddies played League of Legends, and I wanted to play with my buddies. I wanted to have enjoyable relationships I got something out of. And now I don't play loads of League of Legends because really, I don't really hang out with the guys that play League of Legends a lot anymore, because I relationally moved on to another place. But it took some grieving for me to do that. Sometimes I still look at League of Legends and I think I miss having silly times with the boys games League. And it's not always grieving that it's completely going to go. It might just be grieving that it's going to take a different space in your life, a different kind of relationship. As we grow, we change in ways. All of us change somehow in some little ways we don't even kind of see immediately, and our relationships change. Sometimes our habits don't. Sometimes that works with people, man. Some people stay in the same habits, and that's chill, and they're loving life. But if you want to grow, if you want to change, if you want to build new habits, you gotta do a degree of grieving, in my opinion. And first of all, you gotta know what you're getting out of the habits you got right now. You gotta meet yourself where you're at. A lot of the research says this, guys. Meeting people where they're at. regardless of how you're helping somebody, if you've got to understand them first, you've got to understand yourself. You've got to be like, why do I like this habit so much that's bad for me? What do I get out of this? Well, your job's really tiring. Maybe you come back from work and you're like, you know what? I don't want to think anymore. I don't want to do anymore. I just want to stop. Then what's the habit you do to stop? Doom scroll. What's the habit you do to blow off steam? Maybe you masturbate. You know, it makes sense. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't judge yourself. Learn about yourself. Accept your habits. Accept where you're at, because you can't change until you accept where you are. Because if you can't accept who you are, you can't grieve, right? You can't go, man, okay, I lost something. I'm sad about it. You can't really feel that. You can't change. Because you still got that anchor. You kind of want your cake and you want to eat it as well. You want to have both. You can't really have both. Something's got to go, I'm afraid. But I'm going to leave it there for today. In my opinion, that is the relationship between grief and habits. I've been Will at Thunderhawk Coaching. You've been wonderful. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.